No one's ever told me to lift my head up, throw my shoulders back, and play sexy.
Which blew my mind.
I am Jim Parsons.
And I am Ben Aldridge. And today we're going to let Elle ask us anything.
But before we get started, be sure to check out Spoiler Alert, out now.
We met on Zoom.
The Zoom was, Showalter was also part of it. And it was essentially Showalter and I meeting Ben for the first time. I was like, I think that's as good as that's it. I mean, but I don't know. I'm sure there's other things to do. And you kind of thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But Showalter called me right after. He goes, I think he's the one. I was like, well, I do too, but I've never done this before, so I don't know. And he surprised both of us, didn't he? We both thought there'd be more to go through.
Yeah, I thought I'd have to audition loads. I can think of two actually. One was for the transfer of Spring Awakening to the UK when it was in the West End, and I did 12 auditions and completely fell in love.
12?
Yeah, and completely fell in love and knew the music. I had to learn all the music in a week in a workshop, and that was killer. And the other was another musical thing, was Sweeney Todd.
The one that I remember desperately wanting and thinking, surely this is for me, right? Was Kenneth the Page on 30 Rock.
Yeah,
Jack McBrayer played him better than I ever could have. So I live in great peace that didn't happen. But boy, did I want that at the time. Michael is a journalist for television who is looking for love, and he meets Kit, who is a graphic designer and photographer.
Yeah, and I think when they meet, certainly Kit's at that point that I think a lot of people are in their mid-20s, where kind of ambition versus reality. And he's having to check in with what he's actually able to accomplish versus his kind of dreams with photography. Probably starting to seriously begin looking for love, but I think is very surprised and disarmed by meeting Michael. I think it's unexpected, and that's where,
as you can imagine.
That's where it begins. I don't know a huge amount about astrology, but if I do read around the sign, yes, absolutely some things I relate to. And there are other things, like I'm meant to be mysterious and closed off. And I really think, if anything, I'm too open. So there are things I'm like, no way, I don't relate. But there are things that I
think you're open with people that you are friends with, but I could see you being mysterious to people that you're not sure if you want to
see. Perceptive.
Perceptive.
There
Thank
we go.
you.
There we go.
Which I don't know if that's a quality of Aries, which is what I am. I'm very early in the air. I'm March 24th. I remember it's called the Day of Beguiling Simplicity, and I thought that may sound like me. Warning: he will challenge you. He will. He just will. So that doesn't mean he's going to say no, but you're not just going to be accepted with a yes sir every time. Does that seem fair to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But how do you mean? You don't just mean with acting, you just mean like in conversation, or?
No, I do mean more working out something creatively, which I admire that.
Knowing him, something that I would never do would be to interfere with his routines. Because the man has routines, and I am obsessed with people that have routines, and I want to cultivate more. Actually, I have, since knowing you. I've cultivated more of a routine myself.
And I've tried to shake some since knowing you. I'm like, you know what? You could lose some, dude.
But that might be the warning. Don't get between him and his.
It's probably wise.
Routines.
It's probably very wise, especially the ones before 8 a.m.
Yeah.
That I need to tell people when I love them and care about them, and not be afraid of whatever it is that keeps me from telling people when I love them that I love them.
It taught me personally back myself and believe in myself a little more than I have done before. He's an old friend of mine. He's a host and comedian and writer called Tom Allen, who to watch him become who he is on British TV, I'm just so inspired by his authenticity and his level of vulnerability in his comedy.
One is somebody that I have worked with, and to see his growth has been incredible, which is
thank you.
Maybe you'll be second. Ryan O'Connell, who we worked with on the show Special, and I am going to do a movie version of a book that he wrote. When we first met, he was just kind of striking out in Hollywood and things like that, and people just respond to him, and it's because he is so wickedly funny while being brutally honest at the same time. It's just a beautiful combination.
It was a very powerful thing to be using that, particularly, I think the first time I used it was in the Benny's Burritos scene where we are photographing each other, which is something that happened in real life on that day. It was a strange thing and a beautiful thing to think that I was holding an object that belonged to Kit. He was always trying to understand the world and himself better through that camera. He took a lot of selfies as well. And so, that just felt really powerful to be entrusted with.
It did. It felt kind of like a sacred talisman to us.
Totally.
It really did.
Totally sacred, yeah. I was once told on set to lift my chin up, put my shoulders back, and play sexy. And and actually, that is kind of great advice. But at the time for me, it was like, how do I do that? It just made me incredibly paranoid and like, you can't play sexy.
No one's ever told me to lift my head up, throw my shoulders back, and play sexy.
But now you're saying,
I'm a little insulted.
If someone did say that to you, you'd be like, okay, sure. That was
now I'll
the
just do it.
direction.
You know.
This is the proudest moment of my career so far. It really is for me. I think both in the story we're telling, in the way I've connected to it authentically, and kind of met a lot of myself and learned a lot about myself in this process.
This has definitely, much like Ben just said, been a really career and life altering journey in a lot of ways. And proud's a weird word, I guess, now that I say it like that, but I'll just stay with that. So yeah, done.
Oh gosh, so cheesy. I really value friendship, and I think if someone were to consider me a good friend, I think that's kind of real high praise. In my book.
Yeah, I would say related to that, someone either telling me or showing me through actions that they just really trusted me, you know, with their secrets, with their problems, things like that. That's a pretty high compliment.
But also you're hot.
And I'm hot.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was at my computer one evening a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking at the New York Times, and I was like, what is going on? And NASA was going to hit that asteroid. And I was like, wait a minute, we can watch this? I was really impressed that they hit it and hurt the asteroid, destroyed it. I don't know what you said.
They hurt that asteroid. Don't hurt me, I'm an asteroid.
May you never ask if I'm a scientist in real life again, anyway.
Mine is so basic, and I don't even know if it's true, and I'll probably be told that I shouldn't say. I mean, I don't know.
I'll tell you if you shouldn't say it. Tell me.
You will. My publicist might.
Okay.
I learned recently, and maybe I won't name names, that within the Spice Girls, there was a long-standing relationship between two of them, which blew my mind. And I was like, I was thrilled, pleased. I was all the things.
It's kind of that thing that really shouldn't surprise you.
No, I know, but
that's why I was
like,
surprised.
yes!
I understand.
Yes.
Tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Well, and they told each other.
Yeah.